Good evening. Who all's here? Oh, see a bunch of you. Hi, everybody. Begin with the verse of the Kesa. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. The fragrance of this incense fills our room, protects and guards our minds from wrong thinking. The fragrance of this incense unites us. With precepts, concentration, and insight, we offer it for all beings. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I shall become one with the Buddha. I resolve that I shall each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I shall become one with the Dharma. The gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I shall become one with the Sangha. In the spirit of universal fellowship and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge myself to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. Radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. So we'll meditate. Take a few deep breaths. Focus on letting your belly be nice and soft, relaxing your abdominals so your diaphragm can expand and contract freely. And then let your breath settle into a comfortable rhythm, but notice your out breath. Just kind of rest your attention on the out breath. And you don't need to make a big deal out of this, but kind of extend your out breath. Let your out breath be nice and long. You don't have to count it or anything like that. Try to time it. Just make sure your out breath is long and comfortable. And anchor your attention on the out breath with the thought, may I be happy. May I be free from animosity. May I be free from stress and affliction. May I look after myself with ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from animosity. May all beings be free from stress and affliction. May all beings look after themselves with ease. Now just keep your attention on the out breath. And you can note your breaths through dough. It's a dough on the out breath, holding it for the whole extent of the breath. Or you can count your breaths. Or just focus on the sensation. If you're able to do that, that's fine. And we'll meditate like this for a few minutes. The bell will ring twice to end the meditation. Put your hands together in front of your heart when it rings the first time. Take a deep breath or two. Be aware of where you are. And think about your practice of wisdom and compassion coming together. And when it rings the second time, bow slightly and take your time, but when you're ready, open your eyes. And we'll go ahead and do the dedication before the Dharma talk. It just seems to make sense. Excuse me. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now, and offering flowers, candles, and incense, hearing the Dharma and training the mind, great merit is attained. We dedicate this merit to the great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, the Honored One, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to the 16 guardians and all protectors of the Dharma and their relations throughout space and time, all ancestors of the Sangha, excuse me, and all beings in the Dharma world. May penetrating light dispel the darkness of ignorance, so that all karma be resolved and the mind flower bloom in eternal spring. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health, and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. May their vows be fully realized. May they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for those suffering from violence and those who grieve for them, for those living in oppression, for all who are imprisoned who should be free, for all refugees from violence, hunger, and catastrophes, man-made or natural. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, those working toward the healing of those afflictions. We pray for those suffering from COVID-19, those protecting them and treating them, and those grieving for those lost of this pandemic. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. Sabe sata sadahantu avera sukha jivino katam punya phalang mayam sabe bhagi bhavantu te. May all beings always live happily, free from animosity. May all share in the blessings that spring from the good we have done. So how's everybody doing? So, yeah, Halloween's a few days away. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about this particular topic. So I'm going to talk about feeding the hungry ghosts. And I thought about letting you do a service for feeding the hungry ghosts, but I don't know. I know a number of you go to White Sands, and some of you probably go to other places where they do these. And we've done them on Wednesday nights in DeLand a few times and stuff like that. But I don't know whether you've ever noticed. So at White Sands, they do a couple of things. There's a little table that they put up outside the temple. This is like outside the front doors. They're on the steps leading up, and there's somebody who brings out tea and food and puts it on that table, and that's for the hungry ghosts. There's also a shrine inside. So if you're looking to my left, as I'm looking at you during Dharma talks, right? If you're looking at the Buddha, to your right of the Buddha, there's a little table over there, and there's usually some fruit or something like that in it. And you'll notice during the Hungry Ghost service, there's someone goes up there and does bows in front of that. So a lot of times that's for departed members of the Sangha, or parents, ancestors of members of the Sangha, and stuff like that. The stuff out front is for the hungry ghosts. So you actually don't, in most traditions that I've seen, you don't invite the hungry ghosts into the house or into the temple. You feed them outside. So somebody told me once that Suko is really a stickler about not leaving food sitting out because it attracts ghosts. Now, I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me that once that she told them that. So we feed our ghosts outside. And you notice in some places in Southeast Asia, they have these little spirit houses out front. And they'll put food out there and stuff for the little spirits. So does this matter? I don't know. Right? And I don't know that all traditions do the same thing. I've been in Zen services where they do a feeding the hungry ghost, but they don't offer food or anything. Now, the way I look at it, if you're not offering food, why are you asking them to come? So let's go through the service. Let's go through the service, and then we'll talk about that. So the title of it is I'm not doing the offering. I'm just talking about the offering. So the title of it, I or whoever this service officiant is, says, raising the Bodhi mind, vow to feed the hungry spirits. So there's two parts of this. Well, it's raising the Bodhi mind. So what does Bodhi mind mean? So you'll every once in a while, if you're reading about Buddhism, you'll come across this term bodhicitta, Bodhichitta. Chitta is heart, mind. If you ask an Asian person, point to your mind, they'll probably point here. If you ask an American, where's your mind? They'll do this because we think of it as being in your head, right? But in many cultures, the mind is here. This is the seat of the mind, the heart, right? Not the heart that's over here that's beating, but the heart that's here, that's the center of our awareness. There's some interesting physiological coincidences, if nothing else, having to do with that. There's a nerve system that runs through here, the vagus nerve, that is affected by and affects our ability, like a calmness and stuff, and it affects the cardiovascular system. And so I think that when you cultivate metta bhavana and we tend to bring our attention down here, I think that's affecting that nervous system, and in ways that are beneficial to us. And nobody has studied. Well, there's been a little bit of research done on this. It's kind of new, and I haven't seen anything very conclusive about it. But I would not be surprised if in my lifetime they don't find out that cultivating goodwill and meditation on this part, to the point where you feel this sort of warmth and gladness rising up in this, is not really helpful for you. I bet it is, but I don't have any evidence to back that up, but I bet it is. Anyway, so this is the mind. There's another mind, by the way, that's in your belly. I'll touch on that briefly. So there's research on this. There's another nervous system that's down that roughly corresponds to what the Japanese refer to as the hara. There's a similar word in Sanskrit. I've heard yoga teachers talk about it. In Chinese, there's a thing called the dantian. There's several dantians, but there's one particular that's down there. And I think that there's this corresponding sort of nervous system complex down there. So I think one of the reasons why we respond more to having our breath in our belly or here, rather than our attention up here while we're meditating, I think probably has to do with stimulating the nerves in those areas. But anyway, completely digressed. That's okay. But raising the Bodhi mind. So the heart that wants to be enlightened, right? The mind of enlightenment. It's the desire to be enlightened, but it's really kind of the commitment to practice for awakening for the benefit of others specifically. So that's bodhicitta, the desire to become enlightened for all. So that's really what we're doing is we're raising our mind of enlightenment through this vow to feed the hungry spirits. So raising the Bodhi mind, the supreme meal, is offered to all the hungry spirits throughout space and time. So in other words, I am raising my intention for enlightenment to benefit all others in offering this meal, filling the smallest particle to the largest space. So in other words, we want to make sure we're talking about every hungry spirit that might be everywhere in any world. So when we talk about worlds, right, we generally think of our world, the earth and the universe that we know and all of that. And so that's often referred to as the Saha world, the world of impermanence, stress, and suffering. It's not a bad world. That's just this is the world where if you're born, you experience sorrow, right? You experience dukkha. But there are other worlds. So there's the Buddha lands and things like that. And there's the hell realms and the ghost realms and all these kinds of things. So basically, we're saying all the hungry spirits everywhere, wherever there are hungry spirits, we want to make this offering to them. All of them in the 10 directions. So the 10 directions, the 8 points on the compass, north, south, east, west, and in between, northeast, southeast, etc., above and below. That's the 10 directions. So up and down and all around. Please gather here. So we're not actually inviting them in here tonight because, so I had thought about posting the service and us doing it together, but then you would all have to set up a place to offer food in your house or outside your house. And I'd have to get Michelle to go outside and do the bows and all that kind of thing while we did this. So I just decided it would be way too complicated. But if you want to do this, the Hungry Spirits service is out there. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll give you a copy of it. I'll email it to you. Sharing your distress. I offer you this food, hoping it will resolve your thirst and hungers. So, what is a hungry ghost? I've talked about this fairly recently, but in a nutshell, if one lives one's life ruled by craving, addictions, greed, things like that, letting craving rule you, then you may very well be reborn a hungry ghost. The hungry ghost is, obviously in the ghost realm, which is one of the lower realms. They have cavernous bellies, so they can never get full. They have long, skinny necks, so it's really hard to swallow enough. And they have little bitty beaks. And so it's very, very difficult for them to eat enough to get full. And to make matters worse, whatever they eat will turn into something foul, disgusting, or into hot coals or something like that when they try to eat it. Did I talk about this recently? I know I talked about it somewhere recently, but I can't remember if it's on here or not. So, it's they have constant cravings and they can't get enough, and what they do get is not as pleasant as they think it will be because it turns into something gross when they try to eat it. Very much the way when we allow ourselves to be dominated by cravings, by addictions, for example, and things like that. That's kind of the way that works. So I have been an addict. I was addicted to cigarettes for a long time, or to tobacco. I smoked a pipe sometimes too. And I had a drinking issue for a while too, for a number of years. I quit a long time ago, but it kind of ruled my life for a while. So you always think, well, one more cigarette, I just need one more cigarette. And this cigarette's going to make everything okay. Right? It never does, right? Because it does for a little while, and then the effect of it wears off and the cravings kick in, and pretty soon you're going, yeah, one more cigarette, make everything okay. So you have this feeling that you're going to get satisfied, but yet no amount of smoking ever satisfies you. There's no point where you go, okay, I've smoked enough now. I'll never need to smoke again. It just doesn't happen. You can smoke until you make yourself sick. And I've done that. I've actually had like one too many cigarettes and ended up really like nauseous. Unfortunately, that didn't happen often enough. If it had happened often enough, maybe it would be easier to quit, right? But this is the way addictions work. You always feel like, well, man, just one more fix or whatever. This is what people that I've known who've been addicted to drugs have told me. Fortunately, I haven't had that problem. But, you always sort of chasing the dragon. The first time you do something, man, it's really good. And then it's never that good again. It turns into something kind of gross after a while. And after a while, it can ruin your life. It can be that disgusting. It doesn't just taste bad. It can ruin your life. And with cigarettes, it can turn into cancer or emphysema and things like that. I mean, basically smoking and drinking killed my father, So, that's kind of the ultimate effect of that. But when you die, if you've lived your life as a hungry ghost, you could be reborn as a hungry ghost. So sometimes people will say, do you really think hungry ghosts are out there? Well, look around. They're all around us. They might not have been reborn as hungry ghosts yet, but they're certainly creating that karma. There's a lot of people living that karma, right? So it says, I offer you this food. So the other thing is, if you're a hungry ghost, you can only eat what has been offered to you. So I offer you this food, hoping it will resolve your thirsts and hungers. So hopefully you'll get satisfied by this. And then that's not just it, not just feeding someone, someone's belly. We're feeding them spiritually. And in fact, the hungry ghosts don't come along and eat the food. They eat the spirit of the food. They basically benefit from our generosity. And so this is why we do this, to raise the Bodhi mind, and then to do an act of kindness, to really kind of see that our practice benefits others. We're really practicing for the sake of others at this point. Are there hungry ghosts out there? It doesn't matter. We raise the Bodhi mind and we offer something, right? And we offer it hoping that it will resolve someone's suffering. So it's an act of compassion, a very deliberate, willful, ceremonial, but still willful and meaningful act of compassion. And then I pray that all who receive this offering, so all the hungry ghosts who get it, will return its merits. So in other words, it's an act of merit to give this, and it's an act of merit to receive it. And returning the merit to all the Buddhas and all creations throughout space and time. In this way, they'll be thoroughly satisfied. So you get it, and then you dedicate, and then you also give merit so that all beings can be freed. I pray that in receiving this meal, your sufferings will be eliminated and you will be liberated. So by feeding on this offering, I'm hoping that it will nurture your practice so that you'll be freed also. And being joyously reborn, pray freely in the fields of the Pure Land. I love that phrase. Play freely in the fields of the Pure Land. It just, there's something so poetic about that. It just touches me right here. That you're hoping that someone has that kind of freedom, that they get to experience that rebirth and really feel good, right? I mean, sometimes people, forget that Buddhism is supposed to make you feel good, right? You practice and you feel good, but you feel good in a way that transcends ordinary pleasure. You feel good spiritually. And that, to me, that's what playing freely in the fields of the Pure Lands means. You get to really experience that freedom that comes from raising the Bodhi mind, from having this mind of enlightenment, from awakening and recognizing that my awakening benefits all beings, all creation. So raising the Bodhi mind, practicing the enlightened way, you become future Buddhas without any further regress. In other words, you do what I did. You take this offering, you generate merit, and you can become a Buddha too, so that you can also benefit all beings. And so basically we're saying we want you to be, if you're reborn in a Pure Land, the next step is nirvana. There is no being going back to earth. If you've been reborn in the Pure Land, it's a place where basically evil doesn't exist. And so it becomes fairly easy to be completely liberated there because you have all this help from being in this pure place where people don't do anything wrong, including including you. You could, and this is, this is the beauty of Pure Land Buddhism. This is what so touched people like Shenron, who said, Shenron is a Japanese guy who founded Jodo Shinshu, true or authentic Pure Land Buddhism. It's authentic because it's true faith, not because it's the best kind of Pure Land, but because it's true faith. He said, I'm a terrible sinner, but I can be reborn in the Pure Land. And he wanted to make that available to others. You can be as corrupt as you can live whatever life you have lived and be touched by greed, hatred, and delusion. But if you can believe in the possibility of this awakening and believe in the possibility that you can be reborn to play freely in the fields of the Pure Land, if you can really give yourself to that, then you can free yourself from greed, hatred, and delusion. And you can experience this. And once you've done that, there is no further regress. Once you've done that, you basically don't return. You become a non-returner in the classical, four levels of awakening sense. So those who realize the way first, please vow to liberate all others throughout space and time. So if I've made an offering of food to some hungry spirit, and through my help, they're able to get out of the ghost realm and realize awakening for themselves and be reborn in a Pure Land, then I'm asking them to help liberate all others throughout space and time. So that's kind of that's your reward, but also your return for getting this. I further beseech you to sustain me day and night and give me courage to fulfill my vows. If you become a Buddha, if you become an example to me by being reborn in a Pure Land, then you help me to keep these vows up. The bodhicitta, right? The vows to liberate all others. When you take the bodhisattva vow, sentient beings are numberless, I vow to free them. That's the first one. So that's the vow we're talking about, the vow to free all beings. In offering this meal, I pray you give its merits equally to all creations in the Dharma world. So not just your relatives, not just people you like, not just people who vote the way you vote, everyone, right? And transfer the merits of this offering to the Dharma world of true reality, to unsurpassable enlightenment, to all the Buddha's wisdom. So what does this mean, the Dharma world of true reality? Again, this is the Saha world. This is the world of impermanence. This is the world where there is no enduring self, where everything comes and goes. Everything that's born is going to experience sorrow, and so on. There is a Dharma world that is really the truth of awakening, which exists as an eternal concept, independent from and yet inextricably interwoven with the laws of impermanence. Should have thought about that one before I said it. Maybe I might give you a whole Dharma talk on that one of these days. But the idea being that awakening itself, that possibility of awakening, is something that transcends coming and going. And so what we're saying, and so therefore, there may very well be worlds, Buddha worlds, and so on, that arise, that exist independently from coming and going. So, so that's the offering, that's the service right there. We're asking that you give whatever merit that you've gotten from participating in this process with me, transferring the merit of this offering to the Dharma world of true reality, unsurpassable enlightenment, all the Buddha's wisdoms. So that's what we're hoping will come about for everyone to experience awakening to that extent. And then we say, with all our love and all our spirits and all our might. Spirit's a funny word. I know a lot of Dharma teachers who don't like the word spirit because it suggests something sort of supernatural, suggests this self that Buddhists say don't exist, a soul or something like that. We're really meaning, I think, when I say it, what I mean is that quality which transcends this form that comes and goes. That quality, and it can be a purely psychological phenomenon. If I find meaning in things that are going to transcend this life, that are still going to be around, all beings coming to enlightenment. If I go, okay, here it is on October 28th, 2020, and what I'm doing today is going to help people get enlightened after I'm dead. It's going to still be important after I'm not around to know it's important. Then that, I think, is a spiritual process. That's what I think. Other people may think something different, but that's what I think. If it recognizes what I'm doing as being a part of a process that arises from before I was born and continues after I die, then it's spiritual. So with all our love would be my compassion for you right now. My spirit would be that meaning that transcends this body. And whatever diligence I have, all our might, our dedication, our effort, inviting misery and suffering no longer. In other words, I'm changing the way I perceive life so that I'm not doing things that invite suffering into my life. In other words, abandoning those things that lead to stress, developing those things that lead to freedom. Okay, so inviting misery and suffering no longer. It's an interesting way of putting that. This is all from Venerable Kaitian's translations of this. May all creations in the Dharma world swiftly accomplish the Buddha way together. So all worlds are the Dharma world, right? And so whether we can see them or can't, whether they're permanent or not, whether they last for millions of years or millions of kalpas or whatever, all worlds, may they all achieve the Buddha way together. So that's the feeding the hungry ghost ceremony. We do that every Sunday at White Sands. So if you're watching those live streamed, you'll see that. And if you want to try that for yourself, find the service and put the food out front, say the service. So I'll tell you something funny that happened. So we decided we were going to do this one night in DeLand, and it was Halloween. We've done it a few times at Halloween. And so we had the bowl up on the altar, and we put some candy in it because it's Halloween, trick or treat and all of that. And we had done the regular service and the Hungry Ghost ceremony. And then we meditated. So about 15 minutes into a 20-minute meditation. So there was an easel set up in the corner of the room, kind of alongside, a few feet away from where the table was that I'd set up the altar. And we had done this inside. And there was a display board. I can't remember if it was like a dry erase board or a bulletin board, or if it was a piece of like foam core or whatever that they had attached things to. Anyway, the UUs, the Unitarian Church, there had put up this display board with calendar and events and things like that, sitting there near the altar. And so we're sitting there meditating. It's completely quiet, and all of a sudden that thing falls over. Scared the hell out of me. It's like, I mean, it freaked me out, because these things don't usually just fall over. Now, I'm sure there was some errant wind current or something like that, but it was interesting and it was kind of funny. And after that, we always made sure when we did feeding the hungry ghosts that we fed them outside, just in case. So anyway, any questions? All right. Well, I'll give you a few minutes. I'll just talk for a few minutes. If anybody wants to ask anything, go ahead and type it in. I mentioned, I think Sunday morning, I mentioned that there's a few people who wanted to do some sort of a workshop where we go through my book, Loving Heart, Peaceful Mind, which is a workbook, which is about meditating on the Brahma Viharas and some other stuff. That is kind of compatible and helps expand on those. So I haven't figured out yet when we're going to do that, but weigh in on that if you want to do it. You don't have to buy the book. You can order it from Amazon if you want to, but if you go to our website and look at the page that said Loving Heart, Peaceful Mind Resources, there's the PDF of it is on there, so you can just download the PDF if you want to. The book's like, I don't know, $9 or something like that. So if you want to have if you don't want to print it out, you want to have something to write in, go ahead and buy it from Amazon. We won't do this for at least a few weeks while we figure out when we're going to do it. We'll do it by Zoom. So anyway, let me know if you're interested in that. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to assume no questions. And look forward to seeing you on Zoom tomorrow night if you come to those, or to seeing you in person at White Sands Buddhist Center, or you can watch the live stream here. So thank you very much. Have a great evening.